So if you're watching this, you're probably stuck in bronze, silver, gold, platinum, anywhere like that in competitive. You've been stuck there for a while, and you've been thinking, what the heck do I do from here? I've been trying to practice, I've been trying to go on from there, but I'm just stuck. Well, today I'm going to be telling you guys 5 main things that I feel like personally really gets a lot of people stuck that they don't even really realize, and hopefully you can look at those, realize what you're doing wrong, and help yourself improve yourself a lot quicker. Now, of course, I can't really give you some magic tip that will instantly get you to grandmaster. Those don't really exist. You're still gonna have to put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, but it'll be a substantially less amount than if you didn't know the failures of a lot of people in the past. Essentially, you just gotta skip through all of that and just start straight into the improving yourself part, which is probably the best part and probably the funnest part. With that said though, let me just get straight onto these tips because they are quite a bit and they will take a while to get through. So the first one that I want to talk to you guys about that's I feel like really important, probably one of the most important ones, is simply you set yourself up for failure. Now, this can happen in a multitude of ways in Overwatch, but I'm going to talk about 3 main ways. The first one I feel like that's very important is that people often set their goals way too high. Now, you could say this for anything, but I feel like especially for your rank, this is something that hurts a lot of players. Let's say you're at the bottom of bronze. You know, you're stuck there, you've been there for a while, but every single season you set your goal to the top of grandmaster. You're like, this season I'm going to start from the bottom and climb all the way to the top. But you really have to look at yourself. Of course, if you have a lot of free time and you know that you can put in the effort, and you know you can put in the time, sure, you could go for that. However, if you know that you only have 1 or 2 hours a day to play every single day, and you know that you probably won't even play that often, and that you know you probably won't have that much effort to go that high, maybe you set your goal to something more reasonable. Maybe if you're at the bottom of bronze, set it to the top of bronze, and if you reach that, well, set another goal. And from there, if you happen to just barely reach it and the season ends, well, that's okay. The next season, you can set your goal to maybe the middle of silver and keep climbing slowly but surely. It's a lot better to do that and climb like that than to simply just set a goal that's way too high, spam in a ton of hours, maybe get to gold, but then just give up for like 3 seasons. You won't climb as high, you'll really get burned out with the game, and you'll probably start to hate the game. A lot of people do that, and yeah, it's really hard. The second way I feel like people set themselves up for failure is also a bad mouse / super high sensitivity. Now, if you have your sensitivity at 60 with a wireless mouse, it's probably not going to be the best for you to aim. You've probably seen a ton of very cool shots with McCree's or with Hanzo's or with Widowmakers or with whatever, and you've seen how pinpoint accurate they are, but you look at yourself and you're like, I can't hit jack. Well, that's probably because your sensitivity is about 10 times as high as those other players. Of course, what you probably want to do is look for yourself a 800 to 1600 DPI mouse, and then play on a 4 to maybe 6 sensitivity, depending on what version of those mouses you get. That'll make so that your aiming, while a lot slower, is a lot more accurate. You might need to get a bigger mat. Personally, I use a Yu-Gi-Oh mat, so you could use a Bakugan mat or whatever type of mat you want to use, I don't care. But get a mat, get a lot more range of motion, and then just go on from there. As well, this is going to be a lot better for your hand as you're going to be using your arm more than your wrist. But yeah, mainly you just set yourself up for failure by giving yourself terrible aiming instruments, and then you can't really aim way too well. It will be a little bit awkward to get used to at the beginning, but yeah, that's important to get. And the final thing that I feel like sets you up for failure a lot is picking an unreliable hero knowingly that you can't practice way too much. Essentially, I'd say picking Hanzo, Widow, any character like that that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to become reliable with, and just playing them without having that time or effort to put in. Let's say again, you can only play 3 hours a week and you don't really have any time to practice. Maybe don't pick up Hanzo. You probably know that you won't have enough time to practice him, to get great at him, to warm up every single game, to do all that stuff. Don't pick an unreliable hero if you're trying to climb with a tight schedule. Instead, pick somebody that's a lot more reliable, maybe someone that's meta, and they don't even have to be meta. Of course, you could pick maybe even just McCree right now. Even though he's not super meta, maybe just like playing him a lot, he's pretty reliable, and you can go on from there. Just kind of think about who you're playing and realize that you can't really pick every hero in the game and climb if you don't put in enough time on certain heroes. Some heroes just take more time than others, and if you don't have that type of time, just keep that in mind. Now, to the fourth tip that I want to talk to you guys about is that, well, just this. You won't magically climb ranks because you believe that you are better than where you are right now. I know a lot of people do this, and a lot of people hate to admit that they're doing this, and I hate to admit that I'm doing this, but a lot of the times you're at a rank, and you've been stuck there for maybe 100 games, and you just think that you are much better than that rank. You think that you are playing much better, that you are winning every single game, that you should be a lot higher, but then you're not. And then you have to realize that maybe you deserve to be in the rank that you are right now because you are in that rank, and you have been in that rank for a while. And maybe you should look at yourself and realize, I really need to improve myself and put in time on X or Y, or maybe my positioning or my aiming or something. my team comps, maybe just shot calling, anything like that. You just have to realize that you won't magically climb ranks because you think you are better than you are. You actually have to put in the effort to become a lot better than everybody in your current rank, which does take a lot of time. And right now, I guess a good example is myself. With my, of course, DPS, with like Reaper or whatever, I can climb to Masters pretty quickly. But with my support, I thought, I could do that pretty well with them as well. No, I get stuck in about middle diamond. My supports aren't nearly as good. So instead, just thinking I'm good, I should be able to get to Masters with these guys. I'm actually putting effort into them. I'm actually thinking about what I'm doing, and I'm actually trying to improve them, which does take a lot more effort, I guess, mentally. But yeah, you have to realize you can't climb ranks just because you want to. It's not like you can throw a fit and climb. You just got to put in the effort and kind of just realize that maybe you aren't better than where you are right now. Even if you're getting all the golds, maybe you just are throwing in other ways, like dying way too much, or wasting all your ultimates, or just not comboing enough. You kind of just have to look all around the board, not just at the stats that Blizzard gives you, but just look at yourself. And if you see a lot of mistakes, try to fix those up instead of just throwing them underneath the table, I guess you should say. Now, to something different, I guess the third thing that I want to tell you guys is that a lot of you guys simply don't put enough time into the game to get the rank that you want. And I know a lot of people won't want to hear this. They won't want to hear that they have to put more time into a game because it's a game they should play just for fun and go on from there. And I know, I wish that you could just climb without putting in any time or any effort, but you have to realize that it does take time to get good. It does take a lot of time to get good, especially if you have never played a game before this, a shooter like me. It took me a lot of hours to improve at this game. Of course, if you already play shooters or you're already really, really good at this type of game like TF2 or whatever, it won't take as much time. But for a lot of players that haven't played this game way too much before, because this is a lot more accessible than most shooters, it just takes time. And you have to keep that in your mind. And you have to remember that maybe you won't be able to climb super fast. I guess you can't climb super high super fast. It'll take a little bit longer than you want it to. But you should also remember that if you're playing the game not just to climb, but to instead enjoy yourself as you're climbing, that'll make the game feel a lot funner. That'll make it feel like you aren't really wasting your time and actually be able to enjoy all the matches that you're going through. It's kind of hard to do. All the times we just get stressed out. We just focus on the rank that we're at and the rank that we want to get to and want to have it right now and not have to put in way too much time to get there. But that's just a mistake that a lot of us make. It will take a lot of time. The fourth mistake, and nearing the final, I guess, is that you guys are probably playing a hero that you just aren't good at, or playing a role that just doesn't fit your playstyle. And again, I guess you could use that as me for an example. For a long time, I tried to play support, and I tried to play certain supports. I tried to play a lot of Lucio. And after a long time, I just kind of realized I'm not that great at this role, and in particular, I'm not really that great at Lucio. Of course, I can play the brain dead, does nothing Lucio, okay, because most people can, but the actual good, proactive, killing people Lucio, dealing a lot of damage, whatever, getting great ults, maybe that's just not for me, so I tried out all the other roles. I figured out I like a lot of tanks, I like some other supports, and I like Reaper. I feel like all those guys are very fun. Sometimes you might just want to look at yourself and realize that just because in the past you picked a certain character that you only want to play them forever, maybe you just aren't naturally great at that role. Maybe you just go way too ham as the snipers, and instead it would be a bit better to play one of the characters that goes a little bit closer up. Maybe you'd play a lot better with one of the bruiser tanks than, maybe a healer. Just kind of look at yourself and realize that you might want to try a different role out, and you might want to see how it works out for you. Sure, you might fall down a little bit of rank as you get used to a new role or a new character or whatever, but you might also climb up in the future. And this isn't saying that everybody is bad at every single character, or that you're currently bad at a character that you're trying to get good at, or that you can't get good at any character. I'm just saying that maybe you should look at your playstyle, look at how you play the characters that you're currently playing, and if you see a character that fits the playstyle better than the one that you're already playing, there's no real reason not to just switch to them, or at least try them out and see how it works for you. If you've already been stuck for a few hundred games, what's really a few 20, 30 more with a new character? Not really anything at all. And it can actually be a lot of fun to also try new characters and to just go on from there. Of course, I'd say, first off, try them out in quick play, get okay as them, but at least 2 to 3 hours into them, as a lot of people won't put more than that. I mean, you should, but you probably won't. And then continue from there. Yeah, that's just a thing you probably want to do. And finally, we're to the thing that I feel like is the most important, that very much is ignored by most people in these ranks. You simply aren't studying enough high-level players. And not masters, not grandmasters, well, I guess high grandmaster, but mainly high grandmaster and top 500. You aren't really studying these players enough. You aren't really learning from them. You aren't really seeing what they're doing that's working. A lot of the times, your playstyle / shot calls, you just think are right. You just assume they're right. You think the way that you're playing, it's worked in a few games in the past, so it's got to be the best way to do it. But maybe it's not. Maybe there's some different thing that you could pull out, some different strategy that you could learn, some different place on the map you could go, or maybe you could just learn that you're doing something completely wrong that might be working at this elo, but maybe if you learn a different strategy that you could try to go for, it could help you climb a lot faster. There's a lot to be learned from better players, not just aiming. Positioning is very important to learn from these guys, learning how far back they are or how far in the front they are, when they try to go for damage and when they don't, how they get picks or how they get picked, and how they, actually apply that to their future and don't get picked in the future. I feel like you can learn a ton from better players, and there's a ton of VODs online on Overwatch and of course on YouTube, so just look them up. You can just look up, whatever character, let's say Zenyatta, Pro VOD, and there'll be like 20 of those videos. I've made some videos in the past explaining what great things people do, and you can learn from that even a little bit faster than just trying to watch them by themselves. But even watching videos by themselves is useful. You'll learn from them, and you'll see how these high-level players are playing a little bit better. As well, you can often just see mistakes that you're making in your gameplay that you might not have thought were mistakes, or just big differences between the way you guys play, and if you see them, you should probably try to adopt more of a strong way to play than the way that you're going right now. And I feel like that's probably the final thing that you guys are not really doing way too much. A lot of people at lower elos just think that they're so low that it's not even worth the time to learn from these top level players because the strategies won't even work until they get to the top level themselves. That's not really true. These strategies work almost at any elo, and of course I've been smurfing for a while, just having fun on that, trying to help my friends. And yeah, being good at Reaper and Grandmaster means you're good at Reaper and Bronze. It helps both ways, and the tips that you can learn will apply both ways. But anyways, as always, that is just my own personal opinion, so please do keep it as that. If you believe any other way that you can improve or any other big mistakes that you are seeing in yourself, please do tell me in the comment section down below, and we can try to figure these all out, get them out of the way, get them out of our system, and help ourselves improve ourselves. With this said as well, I don't think that I am perfect. I don't think that I have always kept all these tips in my brain. A lot of the times I've wanted to get to Grandmaster in certain seasons, but I just simply don't have enough time or don't have enough willpower, and I have to accept that and maybe just save that for a future season. I am in the same boat as a lot of people, and that's probably why I can see these problems coming from a mile away, because I've also hit a lot of these problems in the past, and hopefully gone past most of them. Anyways, as always guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And as always guys, have a wonderful day.